Welcome to the Catalyst Way, where we have conversations around unleashing the power of purpose and meaning to fuel transformative change in yourself and for others. And welcome to episode 6. And for this episode, we're going to tackle values. And so, would you like to share anything about values before
Uh,
we tackle this topic?
Absolutely looking forward to this conversation because this is one that does mean a lot to me. And I think our audience will take a lot away from this conversation.
So, we started this before we had this conversation, we started talking about values and how we got values and interestingly enough, on Wednesday I'm going to do a presentation to 100 high school seniors on values. And one of the things that's interesting, we started talking about where do values come from? And we were laughing because, we were thinking back to when we were younger and when we were 16, 17, 18 years old, and it's like, where do we get our values back then? And what was the response?
From our parents, right? From family who were around, because no one at that age is asking us what's important to us. It's more so us being told what's important and understanding that it should be, whether we understand it or not, or agree with it or not. That's just what's being instilled. That a family environment that we are a part of lets us know this is what your values should be. And oftentimes it almost comes from osmosis because I don't know that it's really anything that a parent ever typically sits down with a child and says, hey, these are our values. This is what is important to us. You're sort of just supposed to pick it up as you go along.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll get them from their friends, and it's not like
Yes.
their friends are living these great values. When I ask, students, what's important to you? They'll typically say family, friends, money. Some will say religion, but you don't get anything else. You get a lot of blank stares after that. So we challenge people to really identify what actually matters. So we're going to talk about. So we have an activity that we do in every workshop called value tags. And it's a value sort. There's 36 tags. And what we do is really have people define what really matters to them. And then how does it apply to personal and professional development? So I'll let you start and
Okay.
share what are your top five, and then how do they impact your life personally and professionally?
All right. So I'll start off by saying that I think maybe my third time doing this activity, my values settled into what they are now, and they have not changed since then. And they would be in order from 1 to 5. My first one would be spirituality slash religion. My number two would be fitness and health. Number three would be wisdom. My fourth one is personal development and growth. And my top five rounds out with family.
So before I ask you about how they show up, ironically, if you my top five, my number one is fitness and health. My number two is wisdom. My number three is personal development and growth. My number four is a combination of family, friends, community, Life Design House community. And then to round out my top five is spirituality. So ironically, Ivor and I have the same top five,
Pretty much.
which is why we get along so well because we follow the same values. I mean, and when you think about, the people you want to have in your life, you have a tendency to want to surround yourself with people that have similar values. So that's why I think we get along so well. We do a lot of work together. we do projects together, we go to workshops together because of our similarity in terms of our values. So how do values show up, either professionally or personally
Well,
for you?
I would say if I just went through the order, right? Number one, spirituality is my number one because it is the one thing that I absolutely cannot live without, which is why it's number one. My relationship with God to me is paramount. I believe that is why I am here, and I don't know that I can work out what I am here to do without having a relationship with the one who put me here to do it, which is why I can't have a list without that being at the top of it. Number two shows up for me, fitness and health. Not even just with what I do professionally, still, although it is somewhat part time with personal training, because for me personally, I want to be in the best possible shape I can be in order to do what I am here to do. You've only got one body, you're not getting another one. So take care of it in the best possible way so that you can do what you are here to do. That's why that's my number two. My number three is wisdom. And that is because I cherish knowing that I have the ability to carry out what I have the knowledge of. Wisdom is knowledge applied. So I'm not just on a journey to obtain knowledge and not be able to do anything with it. So that's why I value wisdom and I cherish it also in other individuals that are also on that quest for wisdom as well, which goes back to your point about why individuals like you and I get along so well. Personal development and growth is because I always want to make sure I am moving forward. I think it's easy to be comfortable, stay where you are, do what you know, especially if you're good at it. No one likes stepping outside of their comfort zone. Anyone who tells you they do is lying to you. It's always a fight, but we progress through it anyway. And number five is family, not because it's last, but because I just believe that what's above it needs to be in place for me to be as effective and do everything that I possibly can for my family in the best possible way, which is why I want all of those things above it to matter. But it's not that family means lesser than any of those in any way.
So, so how, you're a coach and you're a personal trainer. So, which value would you say really influences you the most when you think about your work as a coach and or as a personal trainer?
That's a great question. The first place I would want to go is wisdom. And I say that because over the years, I've learned the value of listening and knowing that everything doesn't have to be responded to right away. And it's the wisdom that has taught me when to listen, when to speak, knowing what to say at that moment, because it's not always about what you say, it's also about the delivery. Knowing where someone is at that moment. Um, Sometimes coaching is being that guide, and as that guide, you should also recognize when you just need to walk alongside quietly versus when you need to walk alongside and offer up suggestions, information, rules, regulations, whatever they may be. Sometimes you just need to be a presence because that's all that's needed at the moment. I would piggyback that with the spirituality part because I think that's helped me along those lines. Being a coach, I've had to learn. how important it is to also be coachable, which I think is what my relationship with God has helped me with. That I don't know it all, and I never want to come across as though I do. And I'm also willing to sit back, and when I think I can handle it, just know that sometimes I do need to recognize that there is a power that's higher than mine, an intelligence that's higher than mine, and I need to sit down and listen to that occasionally.
And it's interesting because you would think your answer would have been fitness and health, because, of course, as a coach, you're coaching soccer and you're a personal trainer. And I wonder, as you've evolved as a human being, that the values that have taken front and center have evolved as you have changed as you've gotten older.
I would say for sure, because now it's recognizing that when a parent brings you their child, it's not necessarily for the sake of the game as much as it is what you're going to do for the individual. So it's the person, right? So it's I'm using the game as a vehicle. Fitness and health is along the same lines because 9 times out of 10, when someone walks in, the real reason why they're in the gym isn't just the 10 pounds that they want to lose. There's a story behind that, and it's getting to that story that influences everything else.
And thank you for sharing that insight, because I think that's really important to make that distinction, especially as you get older. Because
Yes,
we both know as you get older, your values change. So,
right.
um, so when I think about my top five, um, my number one is fitness and health, and mine is very personal. So I've been working out, when I had my second daughter, I was about 25 pounds overweight. And I made a promise that when my second daughter, Bethany, was born, I'm going to get myself on a fitness program. And I've tracked every fitness activity I've done since the year 2000. So I have it documented that I've done this workout on this day since the year 2000. So that's 25 years of tracking workouts. Because I'm very big on, and what has evolved from it is it used to just be the workouts, and now I track steps, I track push-ups and sit-ups, but I also put in little statements about my mental and emotional states. Because that stuff's important to me, because it's not just about physical health, but it's about mental health, emotional health, and spiritual health. So that's my number one. So that has always been my number one. It has not deviated since I've been a kid. It's always been my number one. Funny side story, when I was had my daughters, when we were all living together, my daughters would check to see if I had a workout in the morning, because if I had a workout, they knew I would be more generous. So we could go out and they're like, oh, he'll buy us gifts or he'll buy us treats because he got a workout in. And so my mood completely changes when I get a workout in. When I talk about wisdom as my number two, for me, it's all about purpose. Um, it's all about really getting clear about my calling and then helping other people find their calling. So that has also been important. And I'm going to combine that with number three, which is personal development growth. So helping people, not only with my own growth, but helping people with their growth. And it got to the point where when I was applying for jobs, before at UNCG, I made sure that whatever job I could do, I was able to help people find purpose and grow their personal development and growth. And if I wasn't going to be able to do that, I wouldn't take the job. So one of the interesting scenarios with that is that I had, when I was doing my interview, I really had people try to do the value tags, because I wanted them to understand this is the stuff that I do, which is also an interesting way to do a job interview. Number four is friendship and family, and actually have community. So I have family, friendship, community as important to me. I would say, when that value has changed and evolved over time. Um, when I was younger, I don't even think I had it in my yes pile, um, because I had such interesting relationships with my family, with my sister and my father and my mother. So family wasn't in my yes pile. And it was not in my yes pile until I had my daughters, my first daughter, Amanda. And then it became number two because nothing ever replaces fitness and health. Ever, ever, ever. Um, but as they've gotten older, family has, gotten a little bit lower, but it's still in my top five. And now I remarried, so, Rebecca and Lacey, our dog, is very important in my life. And now we've built this community with Ivor and hundreds of other people, and that's kind of like my second family. So, the family friends community is important, and then spirituality is it's been something that's more recent, because like Ivor, God has been a really important part of my life, especially when as I deal with some health challenges. But I know that there's a reason why it happened to me, and I have to be the one to be the model to help others. So, I know God put me here for a reason. A lot of it's do this work. And I'm very grateful that I'm alive every day to be able to do this work. So my my values really are important in guiding how I live my life every single day. So if you get a chance, you might want to do the activity. We'll post the link in the discussion board, but cut out your own set and do them. If you want a really good challenge, give them to your partner slash spouse, give them to your friends, and you all can have a really interesting discussion around your values. I know Ivor and I have been privy to some really interesting conversations with people around values. So it might be something to explore as you move through life, especially if you're younger. So, any closing thoughts about values that you want to share?
No, I would just encourage everyone to make sure they do the activity, go through it. It is absolutely great to know what your values are.
Um, So thank you for joining us for this episode. We do hope that you do take us on the offer to do your values and understand what's important in your life. And we'll sign off here and wish you a great day.
Bye for now.
Alrighty.